Hi, my name is Nelson J. Peters, lawyer in Moncton. I'm going to tell you what I do, okay? This is one of the things, the guys, especially when they get their bill, they're like, what am I paying you for, right? I'll tell you a little bit about that. I'll tell you in general terms. I'll tell you more specifically, okay? But basically, I do about half and half criminal law and family law. I've got other experience. I've done pretty much like a little bit of pretty much every other area of law, which is important because the stuff crosses all over. Criminal and family go together a lot. Family and real estate do a little bit, like, we're going to sell the house as part of the separation agreement. So, but, I've seen a lot more criminal and family overlapping. Anyways, I'll tell you a little bit about what I do specifically with criminal law. That's where I'm more at home. I was duty counsel for a long time with Legal Aid Alberta. I've done it in Moncton forever as well. Not forever, 4 years. And some of that I was in Alberta. But it's just I've done it so much that it's like really natural for me. As natural as you can get. Duty counsel is the most messed up. It's just so chaotic. I have a hard time describing it. But it's just, anyways, that's a whole other thing. But I've seen a lot of court, right? I've done a lot of sentencings. I said this 1,000, I've done about 1,000 sentencings, right? So I got my formula. That's docket court, right? But, how old are you? Where are you from? Sentencing, man, I'm going to do a video on this. Try to tell the judge a story that he can believe, all right? He's just like, this is this guy, this is where he's from, this is the explanation. This is why he did what he did. Put that into one sentence. Don't just, it's these guys, this is why I lose my temper with them, But it's just they come in, you're like, all right, let's talk about your charges. And they're like, well, in 1975, there was a stolen snowmobile. And get to the point. Sorry, but, that's the thing. That's duty counsel. I've got 3 minutes to talk to you, buddy. When you hire me, I can take the time. I can hear your story. I can't do that as duty counsel. I'm sorry. I got guys in jail. I got the sheriff on my back. I'm going to get a knock at the door. Going to have to go talk to the judge. Anyways. What else I do? Bail hearings. So if you need bail, I like bail in the abstract. I kind of hate it in the practical. I've done just so many bail hearings. But as duty counsel, you get the bail hearings. You have no chance of winning usually. Because usually it's your record. It's like, the joke is, everybody deserves a 17th chance, right? But it's just like, I've done a lot of those kinds of bail hearings. There's a lot of, like I say, I like it in the abstract just because I'm like, why do we have bail? The criminal code gives us a reason. They aren't great in my opinion. It's like we got to make sure this guy comes back to court. We got to make sure he won't commit more offenses. And then we've got to keep an eye out for like public confidence. They were thinking about moving that last one anyways. Public confidence in the court system. But, shouldn't bail be about something else? If we really want this guy not to go back to jail, why don't we get him housing? It's like no one's connecting the dots. That's my frustrations. Here's bail hearing. Look, you hire me. Okay, that's what I should be saying. You hire me. This is, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a plan. Where's this guy going to sleep? Who's going to be looking after him? Who's going to make sure he's not in trouble? Who's going to report him if he starts screwing around and messing up his order? That's why it's the same sort of thing. You give the judge something he can believe. You have these guys come and testify. They don't do that in Alberta. We do it in New Brunswick. But, testimony is something you can do. Just have a plan. There's a few boxes that you can check off. But, and the other thing about a bail hearing, it's kind of a mini trial. You're testing the Crown's evidence, their strength. Anyways, I'm not going to keep going on and on about that. You heard the frustration in my voice talking about criminal courts, okay? We need something else than the status quo. It's not working. I'm sorry. It's just not working. New Brunswick is pretty good. Alberta, some of those courts, like Fort Saskatchewan, Edmonton, it's like you got, you're doing like 50 bail hearings in a day? 50 mini trials? I don't know. That just doesn't make sense to me. I think they came up with a new system for that. Actually, my former bosses came up with a new system, but it's just, anyways, there's a lot that has to change with the criminal justice system, or maybe it doesn't, and it'll just get worse. But I'm trying to be part of the solution here, okay? That's my criminal law thing, okay? That's the kind of stuff that I can do. Or, trials. Like I'm undefeated in trial. I've done 2, right? But I like trials, and I think I'm good at it. Cross-examination, it's a really hard skill, and they can't learn that in a book. I never did, Moncton's got a good program for that, but anyways, that's something else. Family law is something else that I do. Now, I've done mostly legal aid files, so those are mostly focused on things like child support, custody. Custody means a bunch of things, and access. Custody means a few different things. Legal custody means who can make a decision for the kid. Where's the kid going to go to school? Is he going to go to Sunday school? Religion, right? His health, does he get braces or not? Like, that's kind of legal custody, decision-making authority, let's call it. Then there's another, physical custody is like, where does the kid sleep, right? Where's he spending his time? So that'll often be shared. There'll often be elements of both. Family law is really messy, and I could talk to you about that, and I will sometime, hopefully, or maybe not, hopefully. But those are the things that I do really well. I haven't done a lot of divorces, I'll just be straight up. So like when it comes down to, like this guy's got 3 foreign corporations, and we think that he's hiding money and he's been doing it for years, I'm not your guy. I'll just tell you straight up. If it's something simple, like you just want to know what are the legal principles, yeah, we can talk about that. Access. I just want to see my kids, right? I hear that so much from dads, and it's like, you do have a legal right to see your kids, right? And I mean, there's always 2 sides to the story, right? So, but yeah, that's something that you can usually get worked out, Most guys just get overwhelmed by the paperwork or by the personal conflicts. They get overwhelmed, and a lot of the times they'll just give up, which I think is a tragedy. But anyways, I've also done intimate partner violence intervention. Alberta, I think they call it emergency protection order. And those are really messy. There's new legislation in New Brunswick, and I've done a bunch of them. I stopped doing them for legal aid for a while just because it was just too emotional. But yeah, I can give you advice on that. I can represent you at a hearing as well. Those are really, really consequential orders. You can lose access to your kids for 6 months without having been at the court hearing, right? So it's kind of, they call that ex parte. It's kind of a really harsh, and I mean, it might be warranted in some situations, maybe not. My job isn't to figure that out. My job's to advocate for you, right? What do you want, right? You want this, that's a decision, that's a discussion that we have when we're talking about whether you're going to hire me or not. Okay? Okay, I'm going to try to keep this simple. So criminal and family law. What do I do? Okay? Right? What do you hire me for? Well, all right, I'm going to keep this as simple as I can. I can talk. Hopefully, if you're enjoying this video, you are persuaded by my orator, whatever. Like, I'm sorry, I can't get it, like the whole lawyer thing. But I mean, we're communicators, and I think I'm a good communicator. I think that I can talk. I think I can get my point across as much as you can. You can have the best lawyer in the world, and you have a judge who's just not having it, right? So, and I really doubt the whole like good, bad lawyer dichotomy, because there's so much that goes into it. I'll talk about that another time. I can write, okay? I can write better than I can talk. I really enjoy writing as an intellectual exercise. What I tell to my guys in the family court, because a lot of family court is written, right? Especially if it's your very first time. What I want to do is win your case before I step into the court by providing a very concise, detailed, comprehensive, document with information for the judge, it's usually her, giving her, the judge, the information that they need to decide in your favor, So that's one of the things. Family law is more about writing, much more with family law. Nowadays, the forms, which I'm not a fan of, but whatever. I understand you. Look, man, I say man, woman, people, just I get it. Okay, I can't always, share in your elation or your misery. In fact, I think my role is not to do that. My role is to just kind of represent your interests and, understand what you're looking for and try to get that outcome. I can't guarantee that outcome. I get the uncertainty you're going through, especially in family court. I understand it, okay? I understand the problems people have with the legal system. It's too complicated. It's too expensive. It's too long. It drives me crazy, man. Okay? I'll do the best I can within the realities of the system for you. Okay, last thing that I can do, I want to help. That's why I'm sticking this out. You get a couple of these cases, that make it worth your while. Because the way I say it, as a lawyer, a lot of the time you win your case or whatever. There's no parade. People are appreciative, and I really do like that. And it's a job that I get paid for. But I just remember the last trial, and we got all the charges thrown out, and it was just and then it was just a long 10-minute walk to the parking lot in the Edmonton Underground. It was just so the opposite of Suits, right? Just so unglamorous, Anyways, whatever. No one's gonna have pity for a lawyer, and I don't expect you to, but I'm just telling you, I get it, man, and I'm gonna try for you. That's what I do. Okay? So what have I done? This is what I say before we talk to a judge. Don't tell them what you're gonna do. Tell them what you've done. So I'll tell you what I've done. Okay, so I've got this stuff on my website. We won a trial, mentally ill woman here in Moncton, Judge Lambert, who's now retired. I've also, just helped people with sentencing, getting charges dropped, getting charges thrown out. And sometimes that's really, really spur of the moment. I remember one of them, we gotten 5 charges thrown out. We had 1 more left, and she had a clean criminal record. We wanted to keep it. So the judge, the prosecutor was like, well, I can't consent to this being withdrawn because it's a transfer. It's just a legal procedural thing. The judge was like, no, I have jurisdiction to throw this out. We were going to do this big sentencing thing. I was going to give this impassioned speech, right? The judge was like, and that's the thing. You don't BS the judge. They'll try, you go really out for one of these guys. And you got to be careful with that too. You don't want to make it personal, right? But, if you can, you save, when you plead, I like to think I can make a difference, Another guy, we ended up getting him a 1-year driving prohibition. If this was today, he would have got a minimum 3 years. He's driving now, little things. With sentencing, I do really good, if I can boast a little bit, I do a really good job with Aboriginal people just because I get that, the Gladue reports. That's why I got that guy 1 year driving. Well, I got him 30 days jail. That was more because of it. Because, I read the treaty, That's a whole other thing. I'll talk about that sometime. Last week, there was a dad wasn't getting regular access for 2 years, with orders in place. Finally got that started last week. It's the little things, you can, I tell myself, make a difference. Okay, so you want to talk, let's talk turkey, right? You want to hire me. So there's 2 ways that you can do that. One's a full retainer, that's the traditional thing. A big chunk of money put into a trust account. I'll tell you about that. Or a limited retainer. Okay, we'll talk about the limited retainer after. Retainer, here's how a trust account works. A lot of people don't understand this, okay? We put a large upsum amount, okay? That's usually I try to eyeball it. How much is this going to cost? Let's say it's a relatively uncomplicated family law application, $1,500, okay? People say, oh, $1,500 for what? He hasn't done anything. Well, I'm not paid that. That goes into a trust account, which is very carefully scrutinized, okay? Because some lawyers played funny with it and they take that stuff really seriously, right? But it's kept into a separate account. I start working for you, right? And I bill from that account. So if I've done $500 of work, I pay myself by transferring that money into my, to myself as payment from the trust account. People get this mixed up all the time. $5,000, does that cover everything? Well, maybe, but the reason we ask for that up front, I'll just tell you, it's because, if people don't get paid up front, I'm facing a trial in September. If I wait until after the trial's done, people probably won't pay me. And that's like experience, like I've seen that. Yeah, everybody, and with the law, everybody thinks that, I'll just get, 25%. There's got to be a bunch of money coming out of there. Well, it's like I got to pay bills. I got to put the lights on tomorrow, right? So that trust account, it just shows me, yeah, you're serious about hiring me and you've got money and you can pay me. Otherwise, we can talk about a limited retainer, which is different, okay? Limited retainer just means limited scope is the full name. Okay, here's the concept. Uber for lawyers, right? I want to get from here to here, and I'll pay a lawyer this much to get from there to there. And I want to go here, I'll sign a separate contract to get there, okay? Limited scope, we chop down your legal problem into different bits. Maybe you can do some, maybe you can't. And so you pay me for the stuff you can't, or maybe that I can do better. And this is a bit trickier, and lawyers, especially older lawyers, have a hard time wrapping their heads around this, in my opinion. But it's like, this is the future of law. This is where we're going. We're just not ready for it now. But I'll tell you how I do it. So here's, for example, with criminal law. I have this idea of like the first evaluation. Give me a printout. Tell me what you want to tell me. Submit the form on my website. Okay, I'll take a look at that. We'll do a 20-minute chat for $150, and I can probably tell you what you need to do next. Okay. Like, you want to look at this in your disclosure. You want to do that or something. Or maybe you can just plea out. Maybe you can ask for community services. That might be enough to resolve it. Honestly, from seeing what I did in duty counsel, that's a lot of what I did. It was just a few quick, simple little things that can get people on the right path. So I can do that. I can also like give you a quote for reviewing your disclosure, give you a percentage. What are my chances of winning a case? I'll just tell you, and this is like, this is a low price, but I knew this guy, anyways, it's a long story. So I told him, okay, so relatively simple criminal charge, straightforward. I said, okay, here's my prices. $250, I'll review your disclosure. So I did that. I looked at all the facts, looked at the police file, all of that stuff, the statements. And after that, I said, okay, I think you're 50-50 on whether you could win at trial. So he's leaning more towards like pleading guilty. So I said, okay, well, here's what I can do. $250 to negotiate with the Crown and $250 to represent you at your sentencing. So all in, this guy, I didn't do an evaluation with him because I already knew him, but it's like $750 all in, for a criminal. That's pretty good. And I'm not saying, I'm not going to cut everyone that deal, but that just gives you an idea, of how a limited scope retainer works. And for family, that's a bit more complicated just because there's so many different kinds of family applications. But here's what we could do. Like, let's say I'll help you fill out your forms. I'll tell you what forms you need. You fill out what you can. Talk to me if you have questions. And I can do that on an hourly basis. It might mean I write your affidavit for you. Like I said, I'm a really good writer, in my opinion. And I can help you to tell your story and also cut out a lot of the emotional stuff that frankly just distracts from your case. So that's the sort of thing that I can do. Or you can hire me to represent you. You've got all the documents in, but you're like, oh crap, like I don't know how to cross-examine someone. You could hire me. We have a discussion about how much that would cost you. Anyways, so that's my practice. If you have any comments or questions, or you want to hire me and fill out my form, drop me a note. Let's make a deal. All right, thank you.